Hey guys, and welcome to Teal House Farm. Today we're going to can some bell peppers, which is something I've done several times, and I'm going to show you how I do it. It's pretty simple. Most people probably freeze bell peppers. I would think that's probably the more preferred preservation method. There's a couple reasons I don't freeze my bell peppers. The first is just space. Freezer space is really expensive if you compare it like footage wise to putting things in your pantry and canning them. Freezer space is limited unless you have unlimited income and just can keep buying freezers and use the electricity to run them, which is not us, as you guys know. And so putting them in the pantry is a good way to be able to still preserve them while reserving freezer space for things that truly need to be frozen that cannot be canned. Things like broccoli that you just can't can. And the second reason is I find that even if I freeze, so typically when you freeze bell peppers, you chop them up, freeze them on a cookie sheet, and then stuff them in a bag when they're all frozen so they don't stick together. After a couple months, they start to stick together. And also, they seem to get freezer burned a little bit faster. I don't have a vacuum sealer for like plastic bags, you know, all those kind of. So if you want long-term storage for your bell peppers to keep them easily accessible where you don't just get a giant clump of bell peppers out of the freezer, you need to invest more money, and we talked about freezers already expensive. So I found that using my canner, which I already have, makes it really simple. The storage space is cheap and the bell peppers won't stick together, and it's really convenient to use them. And so we're going to do more canning. If you're wondering what on earth would I use a canned pepper for, because I used to think that too, I use them in a lot of ways. I add them to soups and stews, I throw them in a meatloaf, I put them on top of pizzas, I'll add them in certain kinds of like spaghetti sauces, I will add them to omelets or to egg casseroles. So anywhere you would use a fresh pepper that you would cook. So, you know, a lot of times recipes tell you need to saute your peppers before throwing them in so they're partially cooked. This is where you can throw in your jar of canned bell peppers. So today when I was at the store, I found a really good deal, at least a good deal for winter. I realized during the summer I'll have lots of bell peppers from our garden that I can can, but right now I only have 1/2 pint left of bell peppers, and there's a long time between now and when peppers will be ready, so I want to put more in my pantry so I have them conveniently on hand. And I saw a really good deal at the store today. So I have a bunch of these packs of peppers that were marked down a little more than 50 cents because just on the very corners they're starting to go wrinkly. But if you look close, like that pepper is still in really good shape. It's nice and firm. These are going to be great for canning. I might have to cut out one spot on some of these peppers, one small spot, but these are great for canning. If I bought them and wanted to eat them fresh, these would be ones that you'd have to use in like a day or two, but I bought them today. I'm going to can them today, so they're still in great shape for canning. I bought several packs. They're all multicolored, which will look really pretty in the jar. You could just do green or just red or just orange, depending on what you need. But the packs that I bought saved me $7.20 over buying fresh bell peppers of the same type and quantity. So that's a pretty good savings. It's a little more than 50%. I think it was like 56% discounted just by buying them and that need to be used now phase. So I do this with a lot of fruits and vegetables, including peppers. Great way to save a lot of money and to really build your pantry even if you aren't someone who likes to grow food. You can still do tons of canning and save tons of money and never grow anything yourself. So what will we need? Pretty simple. Our peppers. We're also going to do 1/2 pints today. You can do pints as well. If you want a larger, I find 1/2 pints are perfect for just, you know, we like peppers as like an accent in a meatloaf, on a pizza, in an omelet. I don't need a whole pint to do that. So these 1/2 pints are great. I'm using all different styles of 1/2 pints. It doesn't make a difference. Obviously our lids and our rings too. These have all been washed and prepared. If you are brand new to canning, I will link below the National Center for Home Food Preservation. We'll go over the steps for you. It's a great website of how to get your jars ready. So if you're brand new, please review that. I'm not going to go over that right now because that's something you could easily read and follow on their website. We will need to pressure can these if you want to follow basic safety protocols. Some people throw the protocols out of the window and water bath. I really believe in following the science to keep my family safe, and so we're going to pressure can. You can make your own choice, but I prefer not to dance with botulism. Even if it's a 0.01% chance, I'm not going to take that chance for my children. So we will be pressure canning today. It's pretty simple. We're gonna wash the peppers and then we're gonna start dicing. I am not going to peel the peppers. If you look at the recommendations on the National Center for Home Food Preservation, they talk about peeling the peppers. That is not a safety issue. It has to do with texture. Some people feel that leaving the skin or the outer layer of the pepper on can create a bitter, or it can get a little like chewy in the jar. I have never felt that way on my peppers. It may be the type of peppers that I'm canning versus, you know, all of the variety, because the rules are the same for any kind of pepper that you're doing. But I find with bell peppers that is totally unnecessary, and it's a lengthy, annoying step. So we're skipping it because I don't feel it's necessary. So we're just gonna wash, seed, and dice, and then we'll get ready to put them in our jars. First things first, always make sure to remove any stickers from your peppers because you don't want those in your jar. And then we're going to rinse them and give them a gentle scrub just to make sure they're nice and clean. I'm going to fill the kettle up so we can start our boiling water that we're going to use to fill the jars in just a minute. And we're also going to get the canner loaded with some water and get it warmed up. We don't want it boiling, right? We just want hot water in our canner, so we're just going to get that started. And then we're ready to cut up the peppers. I pop out the stem and I chop everything into chunks and remove any yucky parts like that, and put the chunks aside in a bowl. And we'll also put the seeds over here in a bowl. And then we're gonna mix all of our colors together. The seeds you could either use to plant new pepper plants or just put them in the compost pile, depending what you're wanting to achieve that day. And we're going to fill our jars. Make sure your jars are warm. And first we're gonna put in the peppers. We want them to have about 1 inch headspace. So we're gonna have to remove some peppers here after we add our boiling water. Usually I overfill and then remove. It's better to have a few too many and remove than to not have quite enough and can them and have a really scanty looking jar. So we're gonna debubble and then we'll remove any excess water and peppers that are still in there. You'll find after you debubble that some things kind of fall together and it looks a little better anyway. We're gonna go ahead and put on our lids and our rings. I did wipe the rims of the jar, but I forgot to get video of that, so you'll wanna do that before you add your lids. And then into the canner, we do our safety checks to make sure our canner is safe to use. And then we go ahead and lock down the lid, and we're gonna start heating it up. And once we have a steady chimney, we can drop our weight onto our pressure canner and start building up pressure. We need 11 pounds pressure for our altitude. And once we hit that pressure, we'll set our timer because we know it's going to be 35 minutes for these half pints. And we're gonna need to keep it at the 11 pounds pressure the whole time. Once we're done, they look great, nice and colorful. Pretty simple, all done. Now they'll just sit on the shelf. I had 9 peppers, bell peppers, and this made 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 half pints, just to give you a general idea of how far that went. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.